Wow. So it says we're live, at least for now. So welcome, everyone who may be joining YouTube and Block here live, and anyone
Who joins?
who may be appearing at this very moment. I think there's someone at the door. So this morning we're going to be looking at the Kesamutti or Kesaputtia or Kālāmas Sutta. And this sutta is known by all three of these names. So just in case anyone was wondering, but it's most well known as the Kālāmas Sutta, at least for Westerners. And this sutta has a reputation as saying that we can just think for ourselves and just disregard what anyone else says. But it's not exactly that at all. It's a teaching that the Buddha gave for us to be able to understand how to judge for ourselves if a teaching is valid or not, and is it important to us or not, and helping us gain purity of mind, gain happiness, and be a non-harming or beneficial force in the world. So it's an important sutta in that regard. It's not just for free thinking, giving us license for free thinking. So I will, we can start reading the sutta. I'll do a screen share. Get the right tab open first. There we have it. Oops. So you can see that well? Does it come up?
Yep, it's up.
Okay. So this is, as I was saying, it's known as the Kālāmas Sutta because people called the Kālāmas in a town that was either called Kesamutti or Kesaputti or Puta, Kesaputta or Kesamutta.
Those are just odd names.
And so when I looked in the notes in the hardbound copy, the wisdom publication of Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, it turns out that the Kesaputtia is Burmese, from the Burmese script. So it's just slight variations in the different scripts. And I'm just assuming that Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation is from the Sinhala script. So the teachings, the Buddha's teachings, the suttas were passed down orally for quite some time, over 100 years. And then they started to be written down when there was fear that all the people that had memorized it would die off because of war, starvation. So, and that, I believe, started in Sri Lanka, where it started being written down. But then it got written into different scripts because there's no Pali script. So then there's these little bitty variations, like what the town was actually called. So that's just that detail.
Was it a town of barbers or wig makers or something?
Oh, is that you're looking at what the
Well, I just know these words. Kesa's hair of the head,
oh, right.
and Muti's freedom, and Putta's son. So,
could be son, or, yeah, don't know.
don't know.
We don't know. And I didn't see Bhikkhu Bodhi or Bhante Sujato or anybody talking too much about the name, but I just, because what I was trying to find, I listened to a couple of talks on the sutta because it's uh, a well-known sutta. And so I ran into the various names of the town and the sutta. So here we are, and your flag is apparent.
Oh, I'll move my flag.
Yeah. Uh, I and Yannicka is doing last minute research on this. I've already done some, but
Yeah.
so this is very helpful because I am has an eye for things and able to find resources to help us with understanding it. But the most important thing about this sutta is this conversation that the Buddha is having with these Kālāmas who are very confused. So I'm going to start at the beginning about what to believe, who to believe. Um, so on one occasion, the Blessed One was wandering on tour among the Kosalungs, together with a large sangha of monks. When he reached the town of the Kālāmas named Kesamuttitta or Kesamutta, the Kālāmas of Kesamuttitta heard. It is said that the ascetic Gautama, the son of the Sakyans, who went forth from the Shakyan family, has arrived at Kesamuttitta. Now a good report of that Master Gautama has circulated thus, though I underline this because this is one of the things one of the issues we'll look at it, having a good report about somebody as a teacher. And so that Blessed One is an Arahant, perfectly enlightened. And this is ellipsed for that standard description of the Buddha that people recite, Iti Piso, Bhagawa, Arahant. The Blessed One is fully enlightened, pure one. He's an Arahant, perfectly enlightened, reveals a spiritual life that is perfectly complete and pure. Now it is good to see such arahants. So then the Kālāmas of Kesamuttitta approached the Blessed One. Some paid homage to the Blessed One and sat down to one side. And then they're showing this various ways someone would greet an elder or a respected teacher. Some have, depending on their clan, depending, like their status, depending on if they have a lot of faith in the person already, there's various ways they would greet such a person. So this is just the standard, it's been ellipsed of how people do the various greetings. So then some kept silent and sat down to one side. So these are kind of people that maybe, I don't know about this person yet, but sitting to one side is a sign of respect rather than just sitting directly in front, according to that culture. So they were all having some degree of respect, some more than others. So then the Kālāmas said to the Blessed One, Bhante, there are some ascetics and Brahmins who come to Kesamuttitta. They explain and elucidate their own doctrines, but disparage, denigrate, deride, and denounce the doctrines of others. But then some other ascetics and Brahmins come to Kesamuttitta, and they explain and elucidate their own doctrines, but disparage, denigrate, deride, and denounce the doctrines of others. we are perplexed and in doubt, Bhante, as to which of these good ascetics speak truth and which speak falsehood. So I think they're a little suspicious at the same time because these people come and they're kind of putting themselves up and putting others down, the doctrines of others down. And there's a saying in the repeats in the sutta is that someone is saying something like, what I'm saying is true and everyone else is false, and then you should be a little bit suspicious. So it seems like they're suspicious that they're making these proclamations that I'm better than the other ones, ours is the best. And so to be cautious if someone is just so, I mean, why would you even need to put other people down? If what you're saying is true, wouldn't necessarily have to defend yourself. So that was Bhante Bodhi's translation, and I have Bhante Sujato's here. And then I put BE because I'm thinking the whole script is the Burmese script that he's drawing from because he's using Kesamutissa. So that's where his translation may have come from. Then some other, so this is ellipsed a little bit. I didn't do that first part about heard the reputation of the Buddha, a report of the Buddha's good qualities. Then some other ascetics and Brahmins come to Kesamutissa. They too explain and promote their own doctrine, while they attack, badmouth, disparage, and smear the doctrines of others. So, sir, we're doubting and uncertain. I wonder who of these respected ascetics and Brahmins speak the truth, and who speaks falsehood. This is the Kālāmas to the Buddha. It's enough Kālāmas for you to be doubting and uncertain. Doubt has come up in you about an uncertain matter. And then this is what people really focus on when they want to say the Buddha is promoting free thinking and just whatever you want to believe, something to that effect. He says, please, Kālāmas, don't go by oral transmission, don't go by lineage, don't go by testament, don't go by canonical authority, don't rely on logic, don't rely on inference, don't go by reasoned contemplation, don't go by the acceptance of a view after consideration, don't go by the appearance of competence. Don't think the ascetic is our respected teacher. So I have both Bhante Sujato and Bhante Bodhi's translation here. And this is 10 things. This is Bhante Bodhi says there's 10 inadequate sources of information or knowledge. 10 inadequate sources of knowledge. And then there's like 3 categories here, and that's why I got colorful with I got three colors of highlight here to divide them up. So the first one is tradition. So oral transmission or oral tradition. And the yellow is by tradition, because this is what my parents believed, and this is what the people in my social group where I was raised believe, and it's the tradition has come down. We can't even remember how it started. It's so long ago that this this was carried down. This oral tradition is carried down, or maybe they do have an idea of some, eon in the past that it came down. Um, so in a lineage of teachings, that's what this one is referring. Don't go by lineage. Lineage of teaching by hearsay. And this is testament is how, don't go by testament. Just because someone's a good speaker and this is just being, this word is being circulated around about how things, how you should believe in something. A collection of scriptures or canonical authority. Don't don't we go by canonical authority?
I think we use it as our working hypothesis because we've got good trust in it, but we don't just take it as,
So why should I go on faith?
uh,
You said trust?
yeah, yeah, there is an amount of faith and trust, but it is not like I'm all blindly in. It's like I'm using this as a direction and now I'm gonna go see. Does it work that way for me?
Yeah, so
And it has thus far.
yeah, so yeah, that's the thing, it's that oral tradition and lineage, and it's not in itself wrong, or somebody is, spreading the word of this is the best way to be in life, or something like this, or this is what you should believe, or something.
Mhm.
But can it be tested for
Right.
ourselves? Can we apply it to our lives? Is it just vain uh, promises? Is it just promising something that we can't be proved? Uh, this just sounds really beautiful. It's written really poetically,
And
and
it's great that it moves your heart.
move. No, I'm saying that scripture can do that.
Right, right.
Be very mysterious, poetic,
Mhm.
beautiful. You recite it, and then it just ends up being a recitation, but do you apply it to your life?
Right.
So this is a logical reason. This is a logical society, reasoning, logic, inference, reasoned, reason, cog. This is all having a cognitation. This is an odd word. Reason, cognitation. This is all having to do with thought, pondering, except as by pondering a view. So there's a view. So if you start out with the wrong premise to begin with, this all of these can be thrown off.
Mhm.
Like we start out with the idea, well, the Buddha doesn't speak to the Kālāmas about more complex teachings here. He's teaching about really basic,
Well, how to approach the teaching.
how to approach the teaching, basic morality, and how to basically how to bring happiness to your life and benefit to others. And we'll get into that soon. But the logic, yeah, so it isn't like he's not saying it's just by logic, but you have to really put things to a test, because thinking can only go so far. And then this is by the seemingly competence of the speaker. We've got two more people joining us, so thank you for joining. Yeah, we're talking about the Kālāmas Sutta. It's also known as the Kesamuttisutta or the Kesaputtia Sutta. So yeah, welcome. So I'm glad you can join us.
We also have
So
two deer who just walked by and were listening for a little while. They just went by.
so yeah, so we're a little bit ways into it, and this is what some people think that the Buddha is indicating free thinking or just throwing out all tradition and logic, and you don't have to follow any teacher or something, just think for yourself. But that's actually not what he's saying. It's more like don't just go by these things. And what happens here, there's the appearance of a competence. So somebody's like really knowledgeable. So a lot of people can really speak well and have a whole doctrine that they've memorized and they know well and they can explain it, but are they really living it? Or are they just charismatic and impressive in what they're convincing? Or some people, uh, the ascetic is our guru is the last one here. And just because they're a well-known teacher, esteemed elder, and and everybody seems to be going to them, and this is our teacher. I think it was Sudasa said that there's ego involved in that. This is my teacher, because I'm following this teacher. I am a student of this teacher, and there's an identity with that, like uh yeah. So there's some famous teacher that I am their student, they're the esteemed guru, and I am their student. But then you follow whatever they say, and you don't question it because so and so, this teacher said it, right? Guru X said this, and this is true, and so people, and it's similar to scriptures. Just because it's in the scriptures, or uh, this is true.
You can put a certain amount of trust and faith in them if they have shown, goodness. But there is always this falling back into what is true. I have seen two come to mind off the top of my head, and I won't mention them or their teacher, but like for example, the teacher told them to eat something and they were allergic to it, and they knew they were allergic to it, and they ate it because the teacher said to.
Okay, teacher was known as a healer, and all these people were lining up to get healing from them, and he was giving them advice, and he said to take this kind of herb, and she knew that she was allergic. That's the one I think you're thinking.
Yeah, that
She knew she was allergic, but because he said it,
said it, and then she was very sick.
and then she was sick. Yeah, so
So this is where you need to just at least say to the teacher, you know what, I'm quite allergic to that.
right, yeah,
So that's the difference between a blind devotion and what they've said to me thus far has been trustworthy, and I don't see anything that makes this dangerous for me to try.
yeah. And then I would be also suspicious of somebody who, if you said, well, actually, in my case, that's not such a good idea,
Right.
um, or that's not possible for me at this time in my life, and they say, well, you need to obey me. Yeah, yeah,
Warning, warning.
yeah. So that's a kind of warning sign if they're a little bit too controlling, or don't want to be questioned. So there was somebody else there was someone they wanted to admire, and they were in an area where there were no other
Mm.
other Buddhist groups, and they went to that teacher, and they were asking them questions, and why are you doing it this way? And is that really keeping with the precepts? And that teacher was like, don't question me. You need to be more open-minded about, how the precepts are held and things like that.
Warning.
Yeah, yeah. So if you can't ask them questions and oh, why are you, I heard that the monastics aren't supposed to be doing this at a certain time. Why are you having a sandwich at 2 p.m.? And they refuse, or they get angry because or their students say, don't ask.
Yeah.
Don't bother them, Yeah, to be a little bit concerned, I would say. So yeah, there's a lot of guru worship, and we want heroes. We want to have somebody to do the thinking for us.
And the Buddha is called a hero, but the Buddha is also telling us don't rely on that. Do the work, practice.
Yeah, we have to realize for ourselves, but we follow a certain framework.
Mhm.
So here, this is the other part that people like to talk about. But when Kālāmas, you know for yourselves, these things are unwholesome. These things are blameworthy. These things are censored by the wise. These things, if accepted and undertaken, lead to harm and suffering, then you should abandon them. So I think this applies to any of these above, but when he speaks about, he's talking about uh, our behavior as well. But if there is a tradition to sacrifice animals, say, and then they'd had that in the time of the Buddha, and you know that this is going to cause harm to that poor animal, this is not a tradition you want to keep following. Or you don't want to support people that advocate doing that. But it was passed down through all our tradition, and it's in the scriptures. Yeah, so you have to really question the beliefs, and if it's causing harm to yourself or others, then you should abandon it. So that was Bhante Bodhi's translation there of all, and then Bhante Sujato is saying, but when you know for yourselves, these things are unskillful, blameworthy, criticized by sensible people, and when you undertake them, they lead to harm and suffering, then you should give them up. This is how Bhante Sujato has translated the same thing. And then we start getting into the criteria that the Buddha had just laid out, and how it becomes self-inquiry. And then it's also based on our own personal experience, and that's more reliable on information that's based on, what we hear, what from the outside sources, the intake, and then that intellectual processing. Just simply intellectual, because this is more from our experience. So now he does this rhetorical kind of questioning. So we've got a few people here, and we could pause for a moment. See, I don't have my clock here. How are we doing on
Get your
time?
clock, get your clock. And this one's like a minute or two slow.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so we have a little bit of time. If there's a question or a comment on what we've discussed so far, this is kind of the first part. There's like kind of 3 parts to this sutta, so that we just went over the first part. So it looks like no one, we can put up a hand. Oh,
I have hello, good morning.
good morning. Good to
It's
see you.
good to see you too. So I'm curious, to, I mean, I have my own answer, but I would love to hear what you have to say about our own experience. I know that, we really are so used to experiencing things through cognition and logic and, from disconnected from the body. So I think, yeah, what would you describe as the direct personal experience? Is it just, you see a real teacher when you feel it in your body, or is there or is there a quivering of the heart of some sort? Like, what if it's not cognition, then how would you know someone is gifted or skillful or a good teacher? I'm inclined to think that it's through the body, and there is some felt sense of connection. But yeah, that would be my question.
Yeah, well, there's the whole gamut. Like do need to not just on this cognition, not just on the intellect, because the Buddha is encouraging us to use our intellect, but some people do. It's just cognition or thinking. We can just ponder something, just kind of intellectual, but it's not in our own experience in life, our life experience. So how to judge a teacher as a whole, that's another issue. So to judge a teacher would be judging them by the criteria. Is it following them? Is this bringing up more happiness in my life? Is it benefiting me in some way? Are they encouraging the good qualities, wholesome qualities? And are they a good example too? Because like I was saying, if you see, and you start wondering, like back in the 1970s, there's a lot of scandals where the teachers were having sex with their students, and or some of them were drinking, and so the behavior was questionable, but people didn't want to look at it, or this is free love, and sex, love, and rock and roll was like a way of life then for a lot of people. So they said, okay, this justifies our behavior. They didn't say it quite that way, but well, they're doing it, so it's okay for us to do it too. And so it's so the morality is harmful. The morality is going down the tubes, and the harmful behavior is increasing because of following them. Then, I mean, even though they may be really witty and know how to speak from their teachings and charismatic and all this kind of stuff, but then their behavior is not upstanding. They're dragging all their students down, because it's like, oh yeah, it's fine to drink, because my teacher drinks too. That means it's freedom. And so, but all of us at this age have kind of been there, done that with that kind of thing. Some of us, not all of us, but been there, done that. It's like, oh no, we know how much harm that all that kind of behavior uh causes. So so you might feel some amount of intuitive trust of a teacher, but you have to kind of check it out. Are they promoting and behavior, or is their behavior upstanding, and is am I getting more confused, and uh am I getting more unhappy following what their instructions are, or am I'm gaining more happiness in my life, and am I causing less harm? So this is the criteria that the Buddha has laid out. He says, when you know for yourselves these things are unskillful, blameworthy, criticized by sensible people, and when you undertake them, they lead to harm and suffering, you should give them up. But then there's another piece that's the opposite, is when these things are skillful and they're not blameworthy or criticized, and when you undertake them, they lead to benefit and happiness, then you should adopt that behavior and just keep the behavior.
And we're going to come up on greed, hatred, and delusion. And I think in that aspect, I mean, that rather than the words and how, whether my heart sings or sinks, it's to look at, I think you know in your body, in your heart, in your mind, what greed feels like, what hatred feels like, what delusion feels like. And when you know what those things feel like, you can see whether when you're applying the teaching, you're moving more into those sensibilities and sensations or moving away from them. Is there a settling or is there a stirring? And is the stirring the agitation of unskillful things? And so I think you're right in saying it's in the body, but it's a holistic body, the body, heart, mind, not as a separated thing. This is our ability to sense, and that includes the cognition. So don't leave it out.
So it's not, he's not saying just totally throw out
It's one of your senses.
the logic or not totally throw out having a teacher, because there's the three categories: is tradition and cognitive or logical approach, and the last one is just being impressed by a teacher. But you have to test the teacher by whether they're leading you towards what's wholesome or skillful, or whether they're leading you away.
Non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion.
So that comes up. So then the
Thank you.
okay, thank you for asking. So now the Buddha goes on to this kind of rhetorical questioning to the Kālāmas. So he does want to encourage them to think for themselves and to know for themselves, and not just follow him because he had this the beginning. They start that, well, there's a good report, or the Buddha has this great reputation, and it's said that he's an arahant. So they go to him to see. So he's telling them to think for themselves, but he has got a criteria. It's not just just wild freedom, but it's like there's a specific way to test for yourself. So what you think, Kālāmas, does greed come up in a person for their welfare or harm? So this is word lobo or loba. It's often how it's when you see loba, it means greed or desire. I have the definitions lower down. And then they say it's for your harm, sir. So greed coming up in a person. So a greedy person, a greedy individual overcome by greed, kills living creatures, steals, commits adultery, lies, and encourages others to do the same. Is that for their lasting harm and suffering? Yes, sir. So here we have 4 of the 5 precepts. But greed itself is like an intoxication. And if you're drinking, you're more likely to allow your mind to be overcome by greed. So they're agreeing that this is for a person's lasting harm and suffering if they become overcome by greed. Does hate come up in a person for their welfare or harm? And this is doso. It's hate. It's harm, sir. A hateful individual overcome by hate kills, and this he repeats the kills and steals and commits adultery and lies, does delusion come up in a person for their welfare or harm? Harm, sir. A deluded individual overcome by delusion kills living creatures, steals, commits adultery, lies, and encourages others to do the same. Is that for their lasting harm and suffering? Yes, sir. So there's this part, encouraging others to do the same. So this could be, we were in with a group of people and just to feel better about the fact that you're doing these things. It's just like almost like a justification or something. Well, everybody else is doing it, so it's okay for me to do it. Or if anybody questions that I'm doing these kind of things, you said, well, this is no problem. It's, like I was talking about uh, adultery, or people would say, oh, that's free love. It's like there was this hero and it was like, oh yes, this is a great thing. It's freedom. It's a kind of freedom, but those people that were doing that started seeing the harm that it actually caused. They suffered the consequences of that. And the same thing with drugs and alcohol and all that is you're either totally lost in it or you start seeing the harm it causes. So I have here these terms, and a lot of times these are good terms to know because well, they're the unwholesome roots for one thing, and then all unskillful or unwholesome behavior arises out of these. They're also called fires, the fires. So burning with greed, burning with hatred. This is make it even. I wanted to downplay that one because I have more of a tendency for that one. But we have to recognize these things in ourselves. But what I wanted to point out here too is this word ajata. So this is that comes up as personal, subjective, arises from within. So these things there underlying tendencies to these. These are the three primary underlying tendencies, and they can come up. But then there's this other word, parya dina chitta. So this is the chitta is the mind, and it's like the mind is overwhelmed or obsessed, and so it's not that just that we might have some feeling of desire or some irritation or anger or a little bit confused or deluded about something, but when you're overcome by these tendencies, then you're more likely to act on them because of them. Do you have anything to say about this, the greed, hate, and delusion?
No, I'm going to paste in at the very bottom of your document a list of some other suttas that they can look at to like have that sense of, is this effective in terms of greed, hate, and delusion? I think people know their experiences, and it does also say those around you. So this is where the Kalyanamita comes in.
Yeah,
like if I'm acting deluded, it's super helpful to have somebody else point it out to me.
I have an extract at the bottom
Yeah.
too that it's a teaching to Rahula when he was
That's one of them.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So it's not, I mean, until we're arhats, greed, hate, and delusion is going to come up. But if our mind is overwhelmed by those unwholesome roots, then we're likely to act on them.
Mhm.
So the Buddha continues questioning, what do you think, Kālāmas? Are these things skillful or unskillful? Unskillful, sir. Blameworthy or blameless? Blameworthy, sir. I think I missed a little bit here. I said, if the praised by the wise or censored by the wise, and then they would say censored. So blameworthy or blameless. Oh, that covers that one. Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
So this is Kālāmas, when I said, please don't go by oral transmission, and that's those 10 inadequate. So it's inadequate, it's not complete. Sources of knowledge. Okay. But when you know for yourselves, these things are unskillful, blameworthy, criticized by sensible people, and when you undertake them, they lead to harm and suffering, then you should give them up. That's why I said it. So I just said were the unwholesome roots, and that we need to abandon them as they come up. They're just going to keep coming up. It's like weeds in the garden. You have to keep weeding your garden, your mental garden. And so then he goes on to the opposite. And this is Bhante Sujata's translation. He's just, instead of allowable would be non-greed. He says contentment. Does contentment come up in a person for their welfare or harm? So contentment is absence of desire, if you're contented. And it says welfare. The Kālāmas say welfare, sir. So an individual who is content, not overcome by greed, doesn't kill living creatures, steal, commit adultery, lie, or encourage others to do the same. Is that for their lasting welfare and happiness? Yes, sir. It's for their lasting welfare and happiness. Does love come up in a person for their welfare or harm? And that's welfare, sir. Somehow that got missing. Does understanding come up in a person for their welfare or harm? Is that for their lasting welfare and happiness? So we have adoso. The A makes a negation. So that's non-hate and non-delusion. And so Bhante Sujato has translated adoso as love. And that would be this altruistic kind of love rather than a passionate kind of love. Adoso is be the absence of hatred.
Yeah, I like to translate it as kindness.
That's one of the, so that's one of the translations of that. So understanding, so wisdom can arise when there's no confusion or delusion. So understanding come up for a person's welfare or harm. Is it for their lasting welfare or happiness? Yes, sir. I've got the translations below.
Okay, great.
What do you think, Kālāmas? Are these things skillful or unskillful? Skillful, sir. Blameworthy or blameless? Blameless, sir. Criticized, here it is. Criticized or praised by sensible people. This is by the wise. So when you praised by sensible people, when you undertake them, do they lead to welfare and happiness or not? How do you see this? When you undertake them, they lead to welfare and happiness. And this is hitaya sukhaya samvatati. This is a welfare and happiness. And this is in some of the chanting that we do things for our welfare and happiness. We do acts of kindness, acts of generosity. This is the merit is our welfare and happiness, the immediate happiness of doing skillful and wholesome actions. So, Kālāmas, when I said, but when you know for yourselves, these things are skillful, blameless, praised by sensible people, and when you undertake them, they lead to welfare and happiness, then you should acquire them and keep them. That's what I said, and this is why I said it. And here we have the translations here, alobo. So these are skillful roots. A non-greed, absence of desire, moderation. And this one is adoso, non-hatred, kindness.
Yeah.
And this is amoho, wisdom, clear understanding, sanity, freedom from ignorance.
I
So
love sanity.
freedom from ignorance would be the negation of the moho. And non-delusion. There's this word asamoho that's very non-confused. And this is when you know clearly the three characteristics and you know this is like someone who's really awake. They're not confused about really basic qualities of life. So here, we're very close to the end, but there's one part at the end that's, we could keep going with this. So free from free from the harmful mental states, one is able to develop the wholesome, boundless mental qualities of the Brahma Viharas. So I just popped that in because this is what you can see here. So then that noble disciple is rid of desire, rid of ill will, unconfused, aware, and mindful. So when you get to when at least when these things are in abeyance, one is able to really practice loving kindness. So you have to really get the mind into a clear state before we can really do the Brahma Viharas, rather than using the Brahma Viharas as kind of a band-aid over, like when you're feeling mad or something like that. You have to be able to let go of the anger, let it at least be, your mind be settled. They meditate, spreading a heart full of love to one direction and to the next, second, and the third, and to the fourth, in the same way above, below, across, everywhere, all around. They spread a heart full of love to the whole world, abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity, free of ill will. They meditate, spreading a heart full of compassion to one direction. They and so on. They meditate, spreading a heart full of rejoicing to one direction, and so on. They meditate, spreading a heart full of equanimity to one direction, to the second, to the third, to the fourth, in the same way above, below, or across, everywhere, all around. They spread a heart full of equanimity to the whole world, abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity and free of ill will. So yeah, I have Bhante, that was Bhante Sujatas, this is Bhante Bodhi's. Then Kālāmas, that noble disciple who is thus devoid of longing, devoid of ill will, unconfused, clearly comprehending, ever mindful, dwells pervading one quarter with the mind imbued with loving kindness, with a mind imbued with compassion, with a mind imbued with altruistic joy, with a mind imbued with equanimity. and so on. So this is really beautiful. The Buddha has established the Kālāmas in wholesome, they already have a sense of what's wholesome and unwholesome, or skillful or unskillful. So he just really encouraged that in them. And then this ends with the 4 consolations or assurances for somebody who doesn't have any kind of religious belief, and for somebody who doesn't believe in karma and rebirth, or they're wondering. He's not asking them just to believe just because I said so. I think this is what the point of this is. Not just because I said so, not because it can't. Most people don't have memories of past life, or have we can understand karma in this present life, but we can't understand cause and effect. If I'm cruel, then it's gonna have unhappy results. If I'm kind, it will have happy results. So if it turns out there is another world, good and bad deeds have results. That's the karma. And then this is rebirth, talking about rebirth, another world. Then when the body breaks up after death, I'll be reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. So if we do good things, yeah, so he's not talking about nibbana here, but he's talking about that the destination will be a good destination. If it turns out there is no other world, there's no rebirth, and good and bad deeds don't have a result, then in this present life, I'll keep myself free of enmity and ill will, untroubled and happy. So this is like the direct result of how being skillful, being a kind person. If it turns out bad things happen to people who do bad things, then since I have no bad intentions, and since I'm not doing anything bad, how can suffering touch me? So even if there's hardship in our lives, if I've heard of people in really terrible conditions and still being kind and a good and a light in that, that really difficult situation. And those people are happy, actually, no matter what's happening. But we do get the direct effect of being kind and keeping our precepts well. If it turns out that bad things don't happen to people who do bad things, then I still see myself pure on both sides. So there's happiness from avoiding unwholesome behavior or unskillful behavior, and there's happiness that comes from, and then there's a purity of mind too. By abandoning the unwholesome or unskillful and bringing up the skillful qualities, then there's benefit for ourselves and others, and the mind is pure. The mind becomes pure as we develop these wholesome qualities and abandon the unskillful. So when the disciple has a mind that's free from enmity and ill will, undefiled and purified, they've won those 4 consolations in the present life. And then the Kālāmas agree. That's so true, Blessed One. That's so true. That's so true, Holy One. When that noble disciple has a mind that's free of enmity and ill will, undefiled and purified, they've won these 4 consolations in this very life. So they're excellent, excellent. We go for refuge to the Buddha, to the teachings, and to the mendicant Sangha. From this day forth, may the Buddha remember us as lay followers who have gone for refuge for life. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So we don't have time to go through this, but this is a advice to Rahula at Mango Stone. This is Majjhima Nikaya 61. So this is the Buddhist teaching Rahula step by step how to purify our actions. And he starts out anyway, maybe we should just take this sutta another time.
Yeah.
For study.
Yeah.
Because it's really worth looking at. So actions through body, speech, and mind, we have to look at our intentions and if this would cause harm to myself or others, should I do this action? We question, and then as we're doing it, and then afterwards reflecting back. So it's really a beautiful sutta. And then you've pasted in.
That's the first of the 4 that Tanisaro Bhikkhu says to look at
Okay, so
for how to test your belief. The second one's the Chunky Sutta. Then there's 2 in the Anguttara, and then he lists 3, and there are more than this. This is just a subset. Now we got a cat going by. Oh, this is wonderful. Sorry.
let me see if I
Yeah.
can make this larger.
Oh, here, you want me to do that?
Yeah, you can make it larger.
All right.
Oops, I'll
Oops.
make it a little bit larger so people can see it. Or can it be put somehow? Could you put it in the chat?
Okay.
Put it in the chat, and then other people can maybe, or they can copy it here maybe from this, but
I'll just paste it into the chat.
paste it into the chat.
And then we can open up or whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah, if you want to look at these references, and this is maybe also an answer to Aline's question about a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So for thoughts on how to judge whether another person is wise, so a teacher, there's these criteria here
Mm-hmm.
and these suttas. So thank you for sharing that. That's great. So we are over, but I could still open it up for, we have a little time if people want to stay on, if they have any questions or comments on the sutta particularly.
I have to leave, but it was wonderful to see you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you could join us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Anyone who's left in the live audience got a question or comment? I'm trying to choose a material that isn't too terribly overwhelming, but and
Since we
practical.
did such an overwhelming one last time, this is good.
Well, no, it's good to see. It's kind of like you see the mountain peak and
Here's the bar, and here we are.
Yeah, or
Here's the bar,
something.
and here we are.
Yeah, and this is how to climb. This is the climbing equipment and what do you call it? The training. The training. Yeah, it's the training to get there.
Thank you, Ayas. Yes, very encouraging, always helpful to go over these fundamentals of it's all just reprogramming. And it's never too much to go over it and over it, it's just takes a lot of training. Yeah, the greed, these little subtle things. And I just so appreciate your leadership and your guidance, and it's so inspiring and important for me to be in your presence and be exposed to these teachings that you lay out so well. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's our joy. And yeah, this is my field of study right now, is to keep
Oh,
looking at
thank you.
these
Yeah,
suttas. So this
yeah.
encourages me too to have to
Mm,
prepare something, because then I go over these again and again, and yeah,
mm.
it helps me see new things too. So thank you. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
good.
thinking.
Yeah. And the contrast with the world, uh, it's just it just keeps getting better and better, the way, the path, to freedom. It just keeps getting better and better. It's very, it's amazing how much it turns the life around, my life around. And so and then it just keeps building, and that shows me I'm on the right path, how it's like it starts getting momentum and builds, and it just yeah, it's so wish that for everyone to find relief, from these, if we don't know the way, the path, we don't get exposed how lost we are. I feel, yeah, so fortunate. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm over visiting some relatives today, so I'm a little bit more aware of, yeah, the just letting, I'm so fortunate. Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome. So anything else, Luck, do you have anything to add?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Is there a term for, I understand the greed and the hatred and delusion and the non-greed, non-hatred and non-delusion, but is there a word that is kind of like the opposite of tanha, where it's directed towards something wholesome?
Tanha. Yeah,
The opposite, or like chanda could be still a desiring, but it can be a wholesome desiring. Or are you talking about the opposite, like the cessation? So we talk about the cessation of tanha.
yeah, I think that's the thing too. It would be the opposite would be well, there's generosity. So desire, oh, Wasaga. Wasaga would probably Wasaga is relinquishment.
Mhm.
So when Tanha is desire or craving, and Wasaga is letting go and giving up, and it's giving up in the sense of giving something material to somebody else, but it's also giving up that attachment to things. So if I'm really giving something wholly, just really fully, then I would be not uh, feeling any attachment to it. More that I would want to give. So Wasaga has that. It's from the material giving to just relinquishing all desire.
Thank
So
you very much for that clarification.
yeah, I think that would be a good word. I haven't seen, well, it does appear in the suttas as one of those elements where the craving is destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to consider aspiring to.
Yeah. And so even like I remember when I was a layperson and I was moving and I hadn't played my guitar for a long time. And there was this homeless man who was helping me move. And he saw my guitar and he said, "Oh, you have a guitar." And I knew that he was a musician. And I said, I didn't hesitate. And I said, oh, do you want it? I gave it to him. And that moment, I was just like purely,
Mhm.
and also I asked my son if he wanted it. He had an electric guitar. Wasn't interested in it. He had started using it, but he went over to electric. So it was like, but then I remember this feeling in my heart, like, oh, I gave it away. There was in that moment, I was fully giving.
Mhm.
And that, but there was still some
There's a-
attachment left
Yep.
later.
Yep.
But then I had to remind myself there was that moment that I was really fully giving, that I wasn't hesitating. And um, so even though we may feel a little bit of hesitation to begin with, and then we decide we're doing it, we're still, I mean, it's a purifying that. We purify that action over time where it may be a little bit difficult at first to give, or something. But you see somebody, your motivation to help somebody else is stronger than the attachment. So that you overcome the attachment. So at least for a moment, that we do it. We go through. We're able to let go. So it's a gradual practice, not just something we can accomplish suddenly and just be totally free of any attachment. Anyway, I just want to use that as an example because and just also to encourage yourself. Yes, I had that moment. I knew that this person could use that guitar, like they busk on the street, and he could get, could help. It could be like a livelihood
Yeah.
to give a homeless person who knows how to play musical instruments a musical instrument, and you give them some livelihood. So so there was that heart that leapt up for that moment. That it was like, oh, I gave my guitar away. Oh, I wasn't playing it, but there's still that attachment.
Yep.
Yeah. I was heading in the direction of renunciation. So that was renunciation right there. Renunciation is another one, I think. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, in Samma Sankapo, renunciation is uh opposite to Tanha, I think, or at least greed. Or
Mhm.
so, yeah. Thank you for that question. Contentment is what Bhante Bodhi has said was opposite to greed, and Tanha, yeah, it's a similar word, but a different. It's really what locks us into samsara. So, were you gonna?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I guess we can close.
Could I ask,
You follow?
I is disenchantment almost required before that step? It's like becoming disenchanted with things, and then the releasing happens it automatically. But when we have to see deeply and realize the valuelessness, the what we're doing, it creates disenchantment, and that is powerful. I think that it just kind of dominoes forward,
Mm,
like um, to uh, to letting go of attachment,
yeah,
to renunciation. It just happens when we become disenchanted. That's my experience.
yeah, I think so.
Mm.
I think it goes kind of in tandem, though. I mean, like one reinforces the other. They kind of like as you become disenchanted, and then you let go, and you see how it is to let go to that certain extent, and then you become more I mean, it reinforces the letting go.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Do you have something further to say about that?
There's that Atong, Santam, Atong, Panitong, and
Mhm.
within that there's the Tankaya, the wearing away, the depletion of craving, the extinction of longing. So it's a process.
Mhm.
You know, it's not that it's just all at once. So there's a wearing away that
Yeah.
happens. And then
Thank
in
you,
the
yeah.
end of that sequence, you do see the dispassion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think there is a degree of dispassion that's happening
Yes,
along.
yes. And so it's like this
Yeah, yeah,
chain of wearing away. The Buddha
Yeah,
uses a lot of
yeah.
images of wearing away.
yeah.
And
So-
from that comes this dispassion. And it's not an all at once thing until it is.
Yeah, wearing away. Yeah, it's just like if you have a piece of metal and you're bending it back and forth and back and forth, it's getting weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And then suddenly it snaps. But but you are experiencing as you're going along the weakening of craving and the increasing of the dispassion or the disenchantment. Yeah, so I think they reinforce one another. The letting go and the dispassion come together over time. So I guess we could close.
And
Where did
eventually that's the destruction of
the
craving.
destruction, that's when that snap
Yeah.
happens. They're totally destroyed, but it's weakening.
Mhm.
Yeah, the disenchantment is increasing and the
And then-
tanha.
And then
Thank you. Okay, so we can close with the Araham. And then we can continue our days. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sangham Namami. See you next time.
don't
Thank you.
take off YouTube.
Bye-bye.